someone, if the attacker got access to SAP system and his SAPOL, he can go down into the database. So it's pretty much the same. One of the issues is that there is no CRC or signature on the stored ABAP code. So actually, there is nothing that prevents the attacker from modifying the code at the database layer. Okay, so I think this is the second demo. So let's go into simulate something. We are going to, I'm going to show you how an end user from your accounting department, for example, is creating a new vendor. Okay, so this guy, Sean, is going to log in into SAP system. This is like a big Wall Street company. So he goes to the FK01 transaction. This transaction is for creating vendors. So he will create vendor 8888, whatever. Here's the company code, well, just technical information. And he's going to say, OK, this is vendor, yes, no, let's choose a different name. I don't know, Missiles Inc. I think I spelled it wrong, but yeah, I don't know. So, well, we have to complete some fields. And this is a US company. So, well, he can fill in tax information, physical address, all of the information that we can skip for the demo. But what we want to stress is that he is going to configure this vendor's bank account. Okay? So the Missiles Inc. told him that his account number was 9090909090. And the account holder is John Smith. Okay? So this guy, Sean, creates a new vendor, configures the bank account, and saves the record. Okay, it's going to take a second because usually SAP systems are not run on laptops. So be mercy with mine. I think it's saved. Oh, sorry. No, this is too long. Okay, less 90s. But remember that there is a 90 there. Okay, so it's created. So now if we go to display that vendor information in another transaction, and we show the payment information, this vendor is configured with that bank account. Okay? So John finishes his work, and he goes home. He closes, and he goes home. So now this attacker will come in, and he's going to execute a Python script. Backdoor, was it? Yeah. So then I'm going to show you what it's doing. But it's going to be attacking this system. Sorry. And this payload, I think it is. Yeah. OK, so the backdoor is doing something remotely to the SAP system. OK, that's it. It says that backdoor is installed here. So John comes the next day, more relaxed, and he logs in again into the SAP system. Oh, sorry. Before that, there is something else that the attacker has to do, that is to reset user buffers. That is, well, something technical, but as the attacker has some controls, he has to do this synchronize. And that will invalidate all the current information stored in the buffers. Okay? So then the attacker finishes his job. So then Sean comes in. Let me log in again, just in case. OK, so John comes in. Now it's going to take a bit longer because he doesn't have any kind of information in the user buffer. So the SAP system is pretty much recompiling a lot of programs that were already precompiled for this user. So it's going to take a little bit to recompile all that information. OK, let me try to see if I can. OK, so Sean needs to create a new vendor. Here you can see that it's compiling it's compiling that ABAP program, SAP MF02K, that is a program that is handling the vendor creation. Okay? And it's recompiling it because the attacker modified it in the database. And he invalidated all the buffers. So this is also going to take a little bit. It's taken more than a little bit. Okay, there it is. So now he's going to create a new vendor. Okay, he's going to create vendor 434343, whatever. The same company code, the same account group. So again, the SAP system is going to need to some recompiling. So now he's creating world company XYZ. Okay, so he creates a new vendor in the system. Again, it's American. And he will say that, he's again configuring, this bank account for the vendor. So he uses, this vendor is using bank account number 55555. And he is Michael Johnson, whatever. So he saves the vendor information. See that there is a lot of fives here in his bank account. It's pretty much what everything Purshon does every day. So now he goes to see this vendor information. Yes, work company. And hopefully you see that there is a different bank account. Okay. So actually, I don't know if you get the point, but the backdoor has modified, without any kind of issue, problems, the vendor bank account to Menem's bank account. So every automatic payment that the SAP system is doing to that vendor, that money will actually go to the attacker's bank account. Okay, so he's like stealing money from the company. Okay, so that's the second attack. Okay, and finally, the last attack is how the attacker can backdoor the authentication procedure. So that is that SAP tries to protect certain critical ABAP programs. Okay? So if you, I'm going to show you now. So that is that if you want to access some of these programs, the system will tell you that you cannot access the source code because it's protected. So I was like kind of trying to figure out how this was implemented in the system. The first thing that I saw it was this report table where the source code is stored, contained a field, SQLX, that was described as source code protection. So I removed the X for many reports, but I couldn't still access them. So then I realized, I also found it online later on, that there was a special ABAP magic string, that's that one. So if you develop your ABAP program and you include that line at the very first line, you will prevent anyone from looking at that source code. Yes? Yeah, this is what I just said. But there seems to be something else going on critical ABAP program protection. So let's talk about SAPMSYST-The, that is probably the most critical piece of ABAP code in an SAP system, because it handles the user authentication procedure. Okay, so this screen, sorry, let's close this one. This screen here, if you see in the right bottom, this is actually an ABAP program, okay, that is processing your client user and password. And it's SAPMSYST-The, okay, so it handles the user authentication. what I discovered was that this program was protected through a specific hard-coded check in the kernel. So if you get the kernel binary and you analyze it, you'll see that there is a particular piece of code that says that if the requested program is SAPMSYST-The or some others, don't access it. It has nothing to do with the magic ABAP string. But what I realized is that the check was only performed on ABAP, on the ABAP program name. So you can pivot it and change the name in the database, get the source code, modify it, and write it back. So it's possible to bypass this check, and we're going to see that. Okay, I'm just going to show you, first of all, that if you try to access this program source code, so here it's a transaction to display, this is the ABAP editor. If I try to display this, at the bottom says the source code is protected, see explanation for long text. Let's see what the explanation gives. That usually is the same text. It says that the desired source text is protected by SAP because changing it will cause system errors. Okay, so you cannot access it to display it, and you can be pretty sure that you can, you can less change it. So let's see what the attacker can do with this. I'm going to execute another payload of the backdoor installer, payload number 2. So it's connecting to the database. He's going to be using the remote HTTP credentials payload, injecting payload, modifying the SAPMSYST-The and other dimpros in the database, invalidating currently created ABAP loads, and the backdoor is supposed to install. So in this case, what the attacker still needs to do, this is kind of a noisy attack, but I think it can be pretty much improved, but by someone more skilled and with more time than me, he has actually to restart the system. Okay, so he can just put a background shell to reset the system at some time. There are also some procedures in the system administrator tasks that reset the system for time to time. So he'll need to reset the server. So to do this, he will execute a special program that's called RSBD-COS0. That is actually here. Okay, RSBD-COS0. Actually, well, he can do pretty much what he wants here because this is like a command shell through the SAP system. Oh, this is not the dir, sorry. I'm in a Linux system. So he can execute operating system commands. And what he'll do is to run this command, stop SAP R3 and start SAP R3. Let me check. Okay. So he will run this command to stop the SAP system and restart it again. So this will take a little bit, but at some point the attacker will lose connection because the system is going down. So while this is going on, I'm going to show you what this is backdoor installer script. Backdoor installer. So this is basically a proof of concept that I developed. It's actually connecting to the database with credentials. Okay, but remember, this is not only the attack vector. The attack can come from any of the other components. And let's show this payload, the one that we are executing right now. This will be like the ABAP payload that we are injecting into the database, overwriting the original ABAP payload. So this will be like compressed ABAP source code. And it's just simple SQL queries. Okay, so we are updating the value of program SAPMSYST to this data, to this payload. So we just change the code of the program in the database. We change some more dimpros, we delete the ABAP loads, and we just commit. Okay, so that's only what the attack does.